A life's work remembered and honored through the pages of a book published by the widow of Capital Gazette shooting victim John McNamara. Rachel Carden shares with us the brave journey his wife took to make sure his legacy lived on.
Many of John McNamara's friends and colleagues stood beside his widow today, thanking her for publishing this book. But before a passage was read from it, one of his friends said John loved basketball, but he loved journalism more. 319 pages, published after the death of their author.
It's John's love letter to basketball, and finishing it is my love letter to John.
You see, it's a work John McNamara devoted 13 years of his life to. And on the brink of finishing it, McNamara and 4 others were shot and killed after a gunman opened fire on journalists at the Capital Gazette in Annapolis.
John had been writing this book in his head since he was 14 years old.
His wife of 33 years, Andrea Chambly, knew it was a story that had to be told.
When I walked into his den and I saw the boxes and I saw how far along he had gotten, I knew I could help make sure he was remembered as a sports writer.
Many writers and critics call the book an amazing account of history through hoops, praising John for his expertise and dedication to the story.
Well, now the stories get told and it's a beautiful book. I keep holding it in my hand and say, this looks like a real book. It's not just something ephemeral on the web. It's a real book about real people, real stories and heartbreak and triumph. And I think he would be in awe.
As dozens of people listened intently to the story of John McNamara's life, they held a piece of it in their hands.
I knew he'd want to be remembered for how he lived, not just for how he died. And this is my way of making sure that happens.
The book dissects 100 years of DC high school basketball and the impact those teams made on our history. Chambly told us she really only wrote the first chapter of this book, and another friend of John's, David Elfin, helped her write the last chapter. She said everything else is all him. In Annapolis, I'm Rachel Carden for WJZ.